Hey there everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we'll be reacting to SCP-5699. Take care of yourself yet again. I think we already did a reaction to this one. I think. Anyway, let's press play and see what's gonna happen, shall we? Did he add the whispers there now? Huh.
I re-recorded this video upon realizing that some of the theories presented in the previous one had misrepresented SCP-5699's nature. I'd like to thank the mind behind the object, Amelia Wright, for providing clarification. Camilla no longer saw any meaning to her life. She worked as a nurse in a nursing home. Camilla felt very alone. For about a year now, she'd been suffering from depression and the insomnia that comes with it. Her husband had left her around 10 years ago, and had even managed to gain custody of their children. In the beginning, they still visited their mother, but for the last couple of years, Camilla's children have not so much as called to wish her happy birthday. And her personal life was no better. Since the divorce, Camilla had only gone on 3 dates, all having ended terribly. Her salary was barely enough to pay the bills, so any type of leisure was already out of the question. As before, Camilla returned to her empty, lonely abode where no one awaited her. Even the kitten she brought home last month had since run off. It would appear he must have found himself a better place to stay. Still, Camilla continued to put food in the bowl every day. Also, she still had not removed her wedding ring. The woman went into the bathroom and stood in front of the mirror, looking at her tired face. It had been years since it bore a smile. Camilla took the ring off her finger, since she never took a shower with it on. All of a sudden, the poor hopeless nurse felt as though someone was watching her. Camilla whipped her head around sharply, slipping in the process. But she saw no one. Due to the awkward motion, the ring dropped into the toilet, and the woman herself fell onto the slippery tile. Regaining her composure a bit, Camilla reached a hand into the toilet to retrieve all she had left of her ex-husband. With her other hand, though, she leaned on the upper part of the toilet and accidentally pushed the handle, flushing the toilet. Now Camilla felt like a failure. She couldn't even manage to save the ring, let alone her husband for that matter. Angered, Camilla punched the mirror hanging over the sink with her fist. It shattered and fell to pieces. Camilla started to pick up the fragments scattered all over the bathroom floor. Having cut herself, she nearly screamed out in pain, but instead she froze suddenly. On one of the misted fragments broken off from the mirror was an inscription. The inscription told of an old woman who sat on the windowsill and cried to herself profusely. In that very moment, Camilla grabbed her hand and began calming her down. As it was, the children and grandchildren left their poor grandmother, and now Camilla alone was capable of consoling her. Thinking back to this part of her life, the nurse burst into tears. 5 years ago, thanks to Camilla, this old woman had been able to find peace at last and die with a smile on her face. It would seem her life was not so meaningless after all. Pondering for a bit, Camilla decided she would give herself another chance at things. As she was drying off her face with a towel, a piece of black cloak momentarily appeared in the doorway.
And then she died.
To the anomaly
Doubt it.
SCP-5699. And the inscription which appeared in the mirror piece was also the work of this object. It has the appearance of an anthropomorphic figure adorned in a black robe and hood, except there's a mirror where the entity's face would otherwise be. SCP-5699 is a white-class spectral anomaly. This particular category includes all the spectral objects which possesses properties beneficial to humans. The entity in question visits people who are experiencing severe mental shock. This applies primarily to those who find themselves in deep despair. Those people who are inconsolable and extremely disappointed in life. The object might make its appearance.
Can they visit me? Doubt it.
The anomaly rarely reveals itself, however. It tends to watch a person from the sidelines for more than about 5 minutes before it simply vanishes. Afterwards, messages will appear on any kind of surface that has reflective properties, whether it be a misted piece of glass or a mirror. Furthermore,
seriously though, can this SCP visit me?
Located within close proximity of the person.
I could use it sometimes.
The content of the messages are usually in regards to something the depressed person is attached to or holds dear. Or it may be a short episode in life when this person did something good for someone else. Oftentimes, such messages restore the person's faith in life. Although in some very rare cases, this does not occur. For example, this might be the case if the person does not have time to notice the message. Experts who work with this anomaly have found that casual witnesses who see the entity regard it only as a hallucination. The process of containing SCP-5699 is a rather laborious one, and actually not at all necessary. In order to contain the entity, one would have to simulate imprisoning all the victims, isolate entire urban sectors, and administer massive amounts of Class A amnestics.
That's true.
This is exactly what the Foundation did, and the black hooded entity was kept at bay for quite some time. The main overall observation of the anomaly fell to Dr. Pearson. He himself suffered from severe depression, and his work at the Foundation had become burdensome. During his lifetime, he had witnessed enough horrors and human suffering to sympathize with everyone, both people and anomalous objects alike. Pearson also believed it was wrong to contain anomalies against their will. Succumbing to this feeling, Pearson allowed SCP-5699 to escape, despite the risk he would be punished for breaching containment rules. He was, in fact, the first person to understand that the creature in the black robe actually saves human lives, and should therefore be let go. When senior management reprimanded Pearson, it became the last
Fucking
straw.
ads.
He locked himself in the bathroom at home and, for a while, remained staring at his sad reflection.
Yep.
At a certain point, he got distracted, turned on the faucet, and washed his face. When he looked in the mirror again, he found a message from SCP-5699 inscribed on it. These were words of gratitude for Pearson having released the anomaly from its containment chamber, setting it free. The words also conveyed love to the Doctor, as well as a promise to help other people. At its core nature, SCP-5699 is very similar to SCP-4026, also known as the Guardian Angel. Although this object is actually considered to be neutralized, unlike the mirrored ghost with its inscriptions, the Guardian Angel restored the desire to live within people via conversation in only one, clearly defined location: the Beachy Head Chalk Headland, located in Great Britain. SCP-5699, on the other hand, will manifest itself anywhere in the world. On multiple occasions, researchers have attempted to provoke the anomaly's appearance by pretending to be distraught, but it is not easily tricked. It will only appear in cases of actual psychological issues. In other words, the anomaly's presence can be ascertained on the back end by the messages left behind. In order to capture the entity on video, hidden video surveillance was secretly installed in the apartments of hundreds of people registered in various psychiatric institutions. The anomaly cannot be in two places at once, meaning the entity is not simply the result of brain activity. In this case, it would stand to reason to try and learn exactly what criteria applies when the subject is selected to receive help. Hostile anomalies tend to have fairly simple motivations. They are by nature evil, and so they choose
Finding
to
Waldo.
solely off
That was a fun one.
or in some cases by a combination of certain characteristics. SCP-5699 is able to appear in different parts of the globe in short bursts of time. The minimum time and maximum recorded
That was a
distance
fun
covered by
one,
the
you know,
anomaly is
finding
approximately
Waldo.
5,600 miles in about 16 seconds.
And
Foundation
deadly one,
experts
too.
conducted several studies in an effort to identify similarities amongst all rescued subjects. As it turned out, all of those who had contact with the anomaly had a tendency to reflect on things to an excessive degree. At first, there's nothing really surprising about the fact that excessive self-examination would subsequently lead to depression, although this was not always the case with everyone. SCP-5699 has never appeared to anyone who has done something irreparable, but was not inclined to reflect back during their lifetime. Intense self-exploration coupled with depression and anxious thoughts produce a strong electromagnetic field around the subject. SCP-5699 exists in such a field. It receives signals from all around the globe, and then moves to the point from which the strongest signals originating. And there exists yet one more fact to substantiate this. Frequencies similar to those produced by the brain while in a state of depression will sometimes occur randomly in power plants. Footage from several instances have recorded SCP-5699 manifesting itself in power plants, even though there were no mentally afflicted individuals at that location. And sometimes lightning will also produce such frequencies. People who had experienced the peak of negative things in life while there was a thunderstorm were 99% more likely to recover than others. Another question that does interest me is why the entity bothers to save people at all. Most likely, this came from way back in the day, when someone realized the meaningless of his existence for the first time. Moving from the wilderness to an urban setting, a person began to ask himself more and more often, what's this all for? And it was around that same era that the first mirrors came to be. Of course, these were not yet made from coated glass as they are now, but instead crafted from tin, gold, or even platinum.
Or
Peering into
bronze.
the mirror, they saw in the reflection something of utter insignificance. Yet suddenly an inscription appeared on the surface, hinting at just the opposite, hinting that this person was still worth something. By that time, many other anomalies already existed. Prior to the first civilizations appearing, anomalies regarded people as just another representative of the animal kingdom. But then everything changed. People began to erect cities and actively change the surrounding environment. Many anomalies regarded this with hostility. Some of them began to attack people in secret, while others became frightened and preferred to hide themselves away from the human eye. And since that time, most people have practically no knowledge whatsoever about the anomalous world. Still, there are some paranormal entities that have displayed curiosity towards humans. They've discreetly watched over our ancestors, listened to their conversations, observed their suffering, and even read their minds. With time, they learned to empathize with people. SCP-5699 is one such anomaly. The entity in the black robe came to be imbued with human suffering. It was always aware of where the most desperate hearts were at that moment, and it came to their aid. The anomaly never revealed its presence, afraid that this would only scare the person. However, an unobtrusive message left on a reflective surface, bearing kind and meaningful fragments from their past life, is exactly what's needed by a person down and out. Have you, while enduring difficult times throughout life, ever noticed mysterious entities or perhaps mysterious messages left nearby?
No, not really.
Then please share your experience with us in the comments below.
Wow, what a great point to pause. Just at the start of a Pepsi ad. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Motherfucker! Motherfucker, I have the video paused and yet they still jump to the next ad. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video of whatever I'll be making. So yeah, bye.